Hey kids, you're listening to A Couple of Annoyed Grunt Boys, and this is the 138th Simpsons podcast. That's right, we're the Simpsons podcast that discusses the animated series The Simpsons from seasons 11 and beyond, and the newest ones when they're available. Why do we do it this way? Well, the entity known as Wheel of Random has trapped us and cursed us to only talk about those episodes, because plenty of other podcasts out there have discussed the Golden Age, that being seasons 1 through 10, so we're here to find out if any of those episodes can match those Golden Age. I say we because I'm just one annoyed grunt boy named Craig. With me, as always, is...
Steve, Craig, why are we talking so softly?
Sorry, I have a sleeping baby in my arms right now.
Okay, that's fair.
I think she's kind of out.
Mm-hmm.
Mom's not home right now, so I'm here, and on our schedule of record time, I'm watching the baby, so I can't be too loud. This is Parenthood, Steve. That movie lied to me.
Because you're not as hilarious as Steve Martin?
Yeah. Leaf Phoenix isn't my son, who will later change his name to Joaquin Phoenix and become everyone's favorite Joker. Or is he really the Joker, Steve? Nope. We're not here to talk about the Joker, Steve.
No.
Although we did promise our listeners one day we would talk about Joker Folie à Deux, but tonight's not that night.
No, not yet.
You don't have to speak softly, Steve.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I can
with a
speak.
large stick. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard not for me to walk with a big stick.
Look, I thought there was a little bit of fun media this weekend that featured a Simpsons sketch. And that, of course, was from TV's longest-running Lorne Michaels produced show called Saturday Night Live.
Indeed. It's confusing because a third of it is only on Saturday night. The other 2/3 is on Sunday morning.
And host Christopher Rockenstein, or Chris Rock as his stage name, was the host. And there was a sketch with the Simpsons in it. And I thought it'd be funny to just discuss it, because I really feel like it was like a rewatch podcast, or our discussion, how we talk about the Simpsons on the podcast, because it was them coming up with an episode, and it was kind of funny. It started off, it was like an office white elephant or a Secret Santa gift exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Rock's character gets a Simpsonized picture of himself. They even mentioned in the sketch that the character who got it was like, yeah, I it's online. It's an app called Simpsonize Me. And I think it's like a pay app. So I'm wondering if like the creators of that app have seen a lot of like profits from that.
It's very possible, because as in the past few years, the Simpsons, Saturday Night Live has like introduced like integrated product placement into their sketches. So it's possible that maybe they got a chunk of change from this. So that'd be good.
But it's kind of funny because it's Chris Rock all of a sudden like really liking the picture and imagining him in Springfield and what he would do.
Yeah. At first, he suggests some domestic abuse against Marge, which is not so great.
Well, yeah, he's like, oh, I just don't like Homer. All he does is he's lazy, eats a lot, strangles his son, and hits his wife. And everyone's like, I don't think he hits his wife. And he's like, well, in my episode, he does.
And then he goes to explain what he thinks happens. And he's Bart's dance teacher. And he notices that something's wrong at home, which is funny because Bart did have a dance teacher at one point. And he goes to like create some violence in the Simpsons household. And somebody's like, well, Chief Wiggum should stop him. And Chris Rock suggests that Wiggum is too fat and stupid. So he goes and takes it into his own hands to find Homer. And he's at Moe's drinking all night with his buddy Barney. And, Chris is like, liking this idea that he imagines himself walking over to Homer and saying, what kind of man hits a woman? And then a drunken Homer swings at him. And then he spins and kicks him in the chest because he's such a good dancer. And then Homer's lying on the floor. And his final words are, go. And then Marge comes running in, says, you're my hero. And then Heidi Gardner does a really good Marge impression saying that you killed Homer.
Chloe does it.
Chloe Feynman, yes. And then it cuts to Chris Rock and Marge at nighttime. And Marge says, ready to go to round 6. Because he's got the stamina of a dancer.
I also like it too because Bart refers to him as Dad now, like not Chris Rock's character's name, but Dad, because he never would with Homer. I also like how the cast is like helping him come up with the plot, and like that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it's very much like this podcast. Like we have an idea for an episode and then we go off the rails, and like this is definitely an off the rails idea of an episode, but it's very funny. I also like they'll have like they have like stills of like Simpsons drawings. Like some like look like they're from the actual episode, but then some are obviously made for the Sims or the SNL sketch.
Right. Like, I think the Drunken Homer is actually like a shot from an actual episode. But yeah, clearly some of them aren't. And I just think that it's really funny, you know, to have The Simpsons in pop culture, especially like a modern show like, well, not modern, but, you know, Saturday Night Live being topical.
SNL's older than The Simpsons.
Yeah, that new show, Saturday Night Live, it's only been on for 50 years. But no, I think that just referencing it, and, you know, I have in my bedroom a Simpsonized version of myself and my wife, which I got as a gift from my wife. And so, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it does remind me of how we like come up with wacky ideas that are probably not in the Simpsons canon and are a bit more offensive. And yeah, so we're as good as Chris Rock. And you better stay away from us, Will Smith.
Jeez. Yeah, we're Team Rock. Not Dwayne Johnson, but Chris Rock.
Exactly.
It just makes me think like, maybe one of the SNL writers listens to this podcast, and it's a shout out to us. I just like to think of that we're special and important, but I know we're not.
I think that we're important to our listeners, which I appreciate, even if we're not that important.
Yeah, you're right. That's the only people I should care about is our actual listeners, and not the Hollywood elite.
Yeah, those people above the line.
We're down there with the Teamsters, the real people.
Yeah, the grips.
Right. Well, Steve, I think we're getting to a little spoiler territory with what episode we're going to talk about.
All right. Well, let's just get to it then.
Yeah, let's get on with this week's newest episode, Homer and Her Sisters, in which, after a fight in an escape room, Krusty's aunt fixes Homer's relationship with Patty and Selma. All right, Steve, I'm going to try to find a place to put the sleeping baby and then come back and discuss.
Sounds great.
All right, we'll be right back. And we're back. Today we're talking about Homer and Her Sisters. It's the 9th episode of the 36th season. It's episode 777 in the show's run. Its original air date, December 15th, 2024. Your nerd code is 36ABF03. Written by Nick Dahan, directed by Matthew Nastuk, and the showrunners, Matt Selman, Brian Kelley, and Al Jean.
Alrighty, Nick Dahan. This is his second episode that he's written, although he has been a writer and assistant for the show for a while. He also wrote season 33's Bart's in Jail, which is the second episode of the 33rd season, and it is our 140th episode, which came out on October of 2021.
Steve, did we like that episode, or?
I think we did. I don't remember it at all.
Our brains are mush, thanks to the internet and TV, right? Screens?
Yeah, exactly. Screens are bad, but they're why we do this podcast, so maybe they're not so bad.
Who do you think Nick Dahan's favorite Star Wars character is?
Admiral Akbar?
No. It's Lando Calrissian.
Okay. It works every time.
Yeah, so his second episode, are we going to like this? Is he going to be baddie in 1000?
Ooh.
With the 2 episodes? And we're assuming that we liked Bart's in Jail.
So it's either a 0, a 500, or 1,000. Those are the 3 options, basically.
Absolutely. Can you just give a rundown real quick of Bart's in Jail? And I hope you know what a rundown is, unlike a certain Jim Halpert, right?
I mean, when Idris Elba tells you to do a rundown, you do a rundown. That, of course, is the episode, as I said, season 33, episode 2. Grandpa falls victim to a phone scammer, and the Simpsons set on a mission of vengeance to get his money back. I think there's a number of scams. The song Here Comes the Money by Naughty by Nature played. The production code is QABF18.
Wait, stop. Now I remember. Thanks for that production code.
Yeah, that always helps.
Yeah, I do remember this, and I think we did like it because of the nature of, like, old people, and not even old people now, but people like being scammed. It's still a thing that's going on, and I think we appreciate it for that as a reminder that, especially when we're recording this during the holiday season, that scammers are abound.
Yes.
I know one guy who's a big scammer.
Who's that?
Well, supposedly, if you leave out some cookies and milk on December 24th, he'll come down your chimney and give you a present. But every time I've done that, nothing comes, Steve.
Yeah.
So except the cookies and milk have been eaten.
I know, it's been years since I've gotten anything, and also, one time when he was giving me stuff, I saw him making out with my mom.
I think Michael Jackson saw the same person when he was a kid.
I think so.
I mean, I know other people sang that song, but it's the first one that came to my mind.
Yeah, speaking of wonderful people, the title of this episode, Homer Sisters, is a take on Hannah and Her Sisters by a film by Woody Allen that came out in 1986 and stars one Julie Kavner of Simpsons fame.
I love Woody Allen films, right? He's done no wrong.
Yeah, that one that he had with the nebbish Jewish guy who was trying to date that girl who was way younger than him. I like that one.
I'm going to have to admit something here, Steve. I know I sometimes consider myself a cinephile or know films, but I got to say I haven't really watched any Woody Allen. Maybe I've seen like 2 Woody Allen films. And they're not the ones that you're supposed to see, like Bananas or Annie Hall.
Bananas isn't that good.
It was one with Natural Born Crooks. What was that? It had John Lovitz in it.
Small Time Crooks, right?
I think that's the only Woody Allen film I've actually seen.
I went through a brief phase of Woody Allen films just because I wanted to be a cinephile, and unlike him, he's a different kind of file. But for as acclaimed as he was before everyone admitted that he was a pervert and a bad person, his films are not, to me, they seem to be very formulaic and just kind of whatever. The jokes are kind of sophomoric, and maybe I'm missing it, and maybe somebody wants to speak up and defend Woody Allen, but I don't really get it.
Let me call my friend Mia Farrow and see if she wants to defend Woody. Hold on a second. Oh, hey, Mia, it's Craig. Yeah. Hey, can you come on the podcast and talk about Woody Allen? Oh, weird. Just a ringtone. Must have hung up on me or got disconnected.
Well, maybe his son, who is definitely his son, Ronan, will speak in his defense.
Oh,
him and his old blue eyes.
I get him on the line. Hey, Ron. Craig here. I can't do a Frank Sinatra impersonation. Never mind. Cut this bit. Hey, Pally. Hey, it's me. Oh, yeah. Hey, it's me, Pally. I'm Ronan Allen. Is that my last name? Not Sinatra.
I think it's Farrow.
Farrow, whatever. Hey, I'm gonna have the mob kill you, like my dad did. End scene, please?
And scene. Very well done.
Okay, good. Look, I haven't done an impersonation on this podcast in maybe a year, it seems like. I don't do them much anymore, so...
Yeah.
There's a Christmas present to our listeners.
Ah, shucks. You shouldn't have.
I hope Nick Dahan, writer of this, is listening to this episode and going, oh, great, they're talking about Woody Allen, a pedophile, on one of my episodes. That's what I wanted.
Exactly. That's why you named the episode as such. And let's just get to it. Our episode begins, as it always does, at a strip mall, which offers a variety of local businesses, such as Not a Front Nail Salon and Money Laundry, Need for Swede Massage Parlor, Cavity Falls Children Dentistry, and Fun Once Escape Rooms, where birthday girls Patty and Selma are celebrating their big day with Homer, Marge, and the kids.
So the nail salon, definitely a front for, the mob, right?
Of course.
Or it's like a Better Call Saul type of reference. Remember his, didn't he have the laundry, or the salon? That was his money laundering place. Or that's where his office was at. But definitely a place where you can get a happy ending. Much like the Need for Swede Massage Parlor, definitely get a happy ending there.
Mm-hmm.
I think all around these places you could get happy endings, especially Cavity Falls Children's Dentistry.
Yeah, they'll make you feel numb in your mouth and in other places.
Great reference to the show Gravity Falls, which I've never seen but heard is pretty good.
It is very good. I feel like Simpsons fans would enjoy it.
And the escape rooms, have you done an escape room? I feel like we've had this discussion before.
Me and my household have talked about doing escape rooms, but we never have, except for when my wife and I went to Mexico earlier this year. We saw this bar that looked interesting, and before we knew it, we were just happened to be in an escape room that you have to solve before you can actually enter the bar. Luckily, because we were in Mexico, most people spoke English, so that didn't add an extra level of difficulty, but we solved it in like 10 minutes, and then we got to drink, and it was fun. It was a good night.
And now you want to escape back to Mexico.
I mean, yes, I kind of do. Have you ever done an escape room?
Yeah, I've only done once, but not actually at all done it because it was someone's birthday and it was like, a larger group. I want to say like 8 people maybe. And like 2 of the people there who like always did escape rooms were just kind of annoying because they were just taking over and doing it all themselves. And so like, I just like stood in the back and like did nothing. It wasn't fun at all.
Ugh.
Especially since it's like people I didn't really know.
Oh yeah, that's no fun.
Yeah, it really wasn't. I did not have a good experience with it. I think if I was just like with, a couple other people that I knew, I think if you have too many people, it's not fun. And I think I really relate to Homer in kind of in this segment because Patty and Selma were much like the people I was with. So as they walk past the wizard's laboratory and the mysterious curse of the mummy's riddle, Homer jokes that any room with Patty and Selma is an escape room. I feel like he had written that joke like weeks in advance. He's like, I can't wait to put this one out there. So he may not enjoy Patty and Selma, puzzles, or parties, but Marge begs Homer to have fun at Patty and Selma's puzzle party.
So they then arrive at their own escape room, as introduced by the squeaky-voiced teen, who welcomes them as comrades. He tells them that their damaged Soviet submarine is about to sink, and that they must solve a series of puzzles to escape. And if they need them, 5 hints are available, but Patty and Selma scoff at that idea since they have escaped every single fake dungeon, zombie space station, and unlicensed Hogwarts in the county without any help.
Question about the squeaky voice teen.
Mm-hmm.
Does he get fired a lot?
Ooh.
Does he have like multiple jobs? And if so, like he's probably raking in some good money.
That is an excellent question. I think that as the sole teenager in Springfield, there's probably a lot of job openings for like entry-level jobs. And so during the summertime, you probably can work several jobs while still like avoiding any sort of teenage labor laws. So you can work like 4 hours here, 4 hours there. That's what I figure.
Have they ever done an episode that stars the squeaky teen? Him just like wandering around Springfield, like realizing like, he's like, I don't have a high school to go to, or I'm the only teenager. What's with this place?
I think that'd be a really fun episode. Like they could talk about Shauna and like how old she is. Like I know that she's like, equals to the bullies, but also sometimes she seems older. But then she also made out with Bart.
I mean, we know there is a high school because Homer and Marge went to it. What if like, because Springfield is populated by adults and children. What if, because like the town is cursed to only age at that way. And like Squeaky Teen is actually from Homer's timeline, but he's the only one who didn't get to age. Like all the adults got to age, but he didn't.
Oh, wow.
And so he's stuck being like a teenager.
That would be that he's qualified for all these jobs because maybe he had them in the past. And so, yeah, that's very plausible and very tragic.
Yeah, he's like, I was going to say he's like a Doctor Who, but not really. Yeah, he's like an immortal being who just like has worked all these jobs. Okay. Or the other theory is like all the teenagers are different people. Squeaky teens are different people. It's just all teenage boys. It's not like that.
Maybe that's possible too, that there are several squeaky voice teen boys.
Right. All right. It's something to ponder about, Steve. I want you to think about teenage boys when you go to bed tonight. All right.
Not a problem.
Well, speaking of the squeaky voice teen, he wishes them good luck and says, "Until we meet again," in the tongue of Mother Russia before shutting the sub door. Hey, Steve. In Mother Russia, door subs you.
Wow. Better than doming me, so.
Bart sneaks by declaring that he escaped and goes off to enjoy his freedom. I wish I was Bart there when I had to do my escape room. So the timer counts down from 60 minutes, and Patty directs Lisa and Marge while Homer tries to open a door with no success. After calling for a hint, he learns that the door has been painted on.
Which really looked kind of cool the way that they moved the camera to show that it was like a flat door.
Yes, nice art direction, Steve.
Indeed. Selma's upset that Homer ruined their hint-free streak, calling him a Crisco-chugging pistachio brain. Homer tries to retort with an equally devastating insult, but struggles to think of anything. So he calls for help, and over the speaker, Squeaky Voice Teen suggests that he makes fun of, Selma's hair. And Homer argues with Patty and Selma whether or not that counts as a hint, and as they begin to clash, Marge starts to pull them apart. And then they growl at each other like feral animals, and Marge directs Homer and her sisters to each stand in a corner of the escape room.
Well, meanwhile, over at Krusty Lou Studios, Krusty is on a call with his agent, wondering why he was on yet another awards show in memoriam. Being remembered as a TV clown, probably. After an unheard answer from his agent, Krusty can accept being in the in memoriam package, but wonders why the audience booed him. And another answer from his agent, and he gets it. Just then, he's greeted by a visitor who barges through the door.
Ursula! If you're wearing a robe, cinch it.
Aunt Sadie, my favorite aunt who still talks to me. To what do I owe this barging in?
Sideshow Mel asked me to be a guest on your podcast.
I have a podcast?
Talking Krusty! It's that thing where people who worked on a TV show talk about old episodes. What do you call it? A rewatch podcast.
Why has this been hidden from me?
Who would do a rewatch podcast? It's kind of like annoying. There's too many of them.
Yeah, it's pretty pathetic.
Yeah. It's mostly like white guys in their 40s probably recording in a closet or a basement.
Mm-hmm. They wait until their wife leaves the house to record out of embarrassment and hope that they don't walk in. Yeah.
They're supermodel wives, of course.
Of course, yes. They're also scientists.
Yeah. That voice of Sadie sounds familiar. Who is that?
Why, that's Curb Your Enthusiasm / Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 2 Secret of the Ooze-Star and recent contestant of the Great Celebrity Bake Off of the American version, Susie Essman playing Krusty's Aunt Sadie.
Now, she looks like Susie.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that she was cast for this role, or did they just hope that she would say yes and have her animated? I always wonder that, because she looks like her, too.
That's an excellent question. I feel like I've seen Susie Essman kind of doing the rounds in the past couple of years, post Curb. And so I'm not saying that she reached out to them, but I think that she was the person in mind. I think that she's a great fit because she is blatantly Jewish, and so is Krusty, and so I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, I can't wait to see more of Sadie throughout the years on The Simpsons.
Yeah, maybe a backstory, maybe get to learn all about her.
Why not in the future, Steve?
I mean, no, that's what I'm saying. It was maybe we'll get a backstory later on, and then maybe she'll date Homer or something. Who knows the possibilities?
Did you know she was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze?
I actually did not know that. Was she Donatello?
Yeah, she was Splinter.
That makes sense.
She's like, you fucking asshole, fucking turtles. No, I had to look this up. So I had to look at her scene. So if you go to the beginning of the film at the 8-minute mark, from 8 minutes to 8:44, that's her scene. She talks to April O'Neil outside of her building with her supposed, husband character. And she kind of dresses like Susie from Curb in the scene.
That's one of my favorite running things is her wardrobe in Curb just being so outlandish and so gaudy and ugly. It's great.
Well, she's definitely a character that became Flanderized, which is a TV trope where a character starts off kind of normal and then they become just a character, a cartoon character, a characterization of what they used to, of what they were. And they're kind of not the same character. During this time, I watched the Christmas episodes of The Office, and I forget how much Ryan and Kelley and even Kevin were kind of just normal. They didn't really have a thing.
Yeah.
And then they just became weird cartoon characters. I
think Kevin especially got the worst of it because he became functionally inoperable. He was barely a human.
Yeah.
That opening cold scene with the dog where he adopted a dog over the summer and they're all worried that the dog was dead. The way that they treated him was just a little bit over the top.
Yeah. Right. But we're not the Office laddies. Let's just get back to The Simpsons, Steve.
So Krusty exits his office, which does actually happen to have a Talking Krusty poster hanging on the wall, and heads to Earmiss Studios, obviously a reference to Earwolf Studios, which is your home for rewatch podcasts such as
Water Under the Bridgerton,
Better Recall Saul,
Key and Spiel,
Avatar: The Last Air Banter.
Yeah, so obviously Talking Krusty is probably a parody of the most popular Simpsons podcast, Talking Simpsons.
Yeah, probably that one with those guys, which is very good.
I've never listened to an episode, and that's not because I don't want to. It's just because I just don't want to.
That makes sense. Yeah, I've listened to a couple of episodes, and I think they do a really good job. But yeah, my biggest fear is accidentally copying or not copying, but they inspired inadvertently by what they do. So, yeah.
Yeah. We are very much inspired by other podcasts like the Joe Rogan Experience
Mm-hmm.
and Serial and Mormon Talk
Yes.
and Big Jugs Daily.
It's my favorite podcast about drinking vessels and tits.
Yes. All right, well, inside the studio, Sideshow Mel recalls a hilarious memory of when they were filming a Game of Thrones sketch where the thrones were toilets and suddenly the cue cards went missing. And one guest wearing a hat that says Grip Life thinks that was quite a story, while a female guest comments that it is the type of thing that could only happen in showbiz. Just then, Krusty bursts into the studio, angry.
Why the hell didn't you tell me about this show about my show?
We begged you many times to come on.
Shut up, you backstabbing traitor! Who the hell are you, Mustache? And who's the skirt and the pants?
That's Wayne the Grip and Jody from Props. They've been with the show since day one.
What? You don't recognize the people who work on your own show? You're crying because they're doing a podcast without you. Now here's your chance. So sit your butt in the chair and make with the reminiscing with your friends from work.
I like how Mr. Teeny's there with like a folder too. Like when,
He's got his own memories.
maybe that's a reference to our podcast because your cat's always in the room. So
That's true, and he does have a folder in front of him ready to speak up whenever the moment arises, which it hasn't yet, but maybe it will at some point.
all right.
I like Krusty saying, "Who's the skirt in the pants?" That's just funny to me.
So who's this Wayne the Grip? That voice might sound familiar.
That's right. That's a former Mad TV star and frequent person on Eastbound and Down, as well as The Mindy Show, and also Celebrity Jeopardy champion Ike Barinholtz playing Wayne the Grip.
But I know him mostly for that wonderful David Ayer film Suicide Squad.
Ah, yes.
Everyone's favorite DC movie.
So, unsure if his coworkers actually count as friends, Krusty takes a seat and puts a pair of headphones on over his trademark hair. But the cans pop off and ricochet off the wall and knock Mr. Teeny off of his chair.
Meanwhile, in the escape room, there's just 30 seconds left to get out of the sub. Patty and Selma have figured out each and every puzzle, but can't seem to find the key to open the door. They've never failed an escape room before, and Patty won't let them fail this time. Despite Selma's wishes, Patty calls for a hint. So the squeaky teen employee informs them over the PA that Homer, the bald man who hates them, discovered the escape key 20 minutes ago and has been using it to scratch his ass out of spite.
So the timer reaches 0, meaning that the mission has failed, and the frozen sea has claimed the bodies of Patty, Selma, Homer, and Marge, and that their grieving children will be sent to the gulag. Angry that they're dead, Patty and Selma threaten to kill Homer. They begin to brawl, and Marge steps in to pull them apart.
So the twins then tackle Homer once more, which causes the wall of escape rooms to collapse. So on the other side of the wall, Ned is proud that he and his boys used the power of prayer to escape their Egyptian-themed escape room. So Patty and Selma declare their birthday to be ruined, and Marge collapses, exhausted by her feuding family.
Ooh. So back over at Earmoo Studios, Jody from Props tells the story of playing against the psycho cheaters from Bluey in the kids' show softball finals. Krusty struggles to stay awake, let alone pay attention, as Sadie slaps him. Mel shows off his battle scars from the opposing team, remembering how they always slide with the spikes up. And everybody laughs, but Krusty checks his phone. Sadie points out that this is yet another event that Krusty missed with his work family.
I'm sorry, Steve, I was checking my phone. What'd you say?
Nothing, doesn't matter.
Krusty says he wasn't invited, but as Mel points out, Krusty doesn't seem to want to interact with his crew, refusing to look them in the eyes and only addresses people by shirt color. So the clown prince of Channel 6 is offended by that accusation, calling Mel green shirt and saying it just isn't true. So that's the final straw for Sadie, who feels the need to speak up. So we're going to play a clip here. Is that okay, no shirt?
Sure thing, mesh shirt.
Herschela Krastovsky, you self-absorbed degenerate freak! You're a lonely, sad narcissist who has no connection to his fellow man. You're an empty Hollywood elitist clown who's gonna die alone on a toilet kissing your own headshot!
I don't know how to connect with nobodies. It's not my fault.
Listen up and listen good. The problem is you.
Oh, my God, you're right. I'm the problem. I worked with these good people for 30 years and I haven't made a single friend. If I can't change, I'll never be happy.
We'll be back after this word from 3-day clams. Fresh clams from the sea to your door in 3 business days.
Oh, Steve, someone's at the door real quick.
Oh,
I gotta go get the door. Okay, thank you. All right, Steve, I'm gonna open the box real quick.
all right.
Zip! So box is open. And here you go, 3-day clams, Steve. I got some for you.
Oh, thank you. The smell knows that they're ripe.
Eat them.
Okay.
And,
Better than Long John Silver's.
all right.
I mean, they're gross, but they're better than other places.
Steve, I've never had a Long John or a Silver.
I believe half of that.
I think Long John Silver's has a lot of silver fish.
Probably does. So, in the offices of the Ugh Network, a division of Ugh Media, Lindsay Nagel and her fellow exec ride tandem on a pedal-on stationary bike listening to Krusty's appearance on Mel's podcast. Hearing Sadie tell Krusty that the problem is you, Lindsay hits the brakes on her costly exercise equipment, sending her coworker flying. She thinks that the problem is you is such a great catchphrase that they could build an entire TV show out of it.
The problem is you. Yes? Or, wait, is the problem you or me, Steve? Wait, never mind.
The problem is you, meaning me, which is also you.
Okay. So the other network head spells it out. Krusty's brash, no-nonsense, tell it like it is Aunt Sadie fixes broken relationships in 30 minutes. It's just like Judge Judy, but they get the money. The only thing left to do is find the heaviest metallic sound effect for when the title is displayed. So after finding a loud dun-dun noise, that would put Law & Order to shame. They are about to begin.
Krusty narrates the first episode of The Problem is You, saying Aunt Sadie is facing her toughest challenge to date, and he's there too. The challenge is that Sadie must face the Hibberts. She wants to know what's hiding behind Julius's chuckles, and why Bernice thinks that another glass of rosé will solve their issues. The doctor, his wife, and their children all gather just to see where the finger of blame points.
At 742 Evergreen Terrace, Homer uses a jeweler's eyepiece and a cotton swab to thoroughly clean a die, part of a larger board game cleaning project. He's even got polish for the dice, the playing cards, and the board games. Lisa notices the old maid looks 20 years younger before commenting that she thought her father hated family game night. Homer says he loves it, provided that it's just the core family.
No, I hated extended family game night with your evil, terrible aunts.
Can you please make up with them? We really need 6 people to play the 3 duos of Half Dozen Mountain.
Honey, if I could wave a magic wand and make Patty and Selma not suck, I would. But it's probably best we get used to never seeing them again.
Ah! Them! Where's Marge? Is she okay? She texted us she fell off the roof cleaning the gutters. I lied about that to get you all here together. I did clean the gutters, though. And I did fall off the roof. After all these years, it's obvious I can't get the 3 of you to stop fighting. But I think I found someone who can.
Homer, Patty, Selma. By the time I'm done with you, you'll be as close as a family can be.
I'm going to say comedy gold with the fake out of a phone call says you were cleaning the gutters, you fell off the roof. That was just to bring you here, but I did clean the gutters and fall off the roof.
Yeah, it's really good.
She probably landed on her head and her hair, softened the blow.
Yeah, she's like, ow, my ears.
Right. So some of the games, Steve, in the Simpsons collection include
Never Sorry,
Needless Operation,
Soda Land,
Yatsu,
Connect 1,
Pop-O-Matic Terrible,
and Video Game, the board game.
You know, I know that's a joke of Video Game, the board game, but there's so many board games based off of video games.
Yeah, I was at a thrift store recently, and I saw, like, an old Super Mario Brothers video game that was, like, from 1987 or 88. And I just can't imagine how disappointed those kids were when, like, their Aunt Margaret was like, I got you Super Mario Brothers.
That's weird you said Aunt Margaret. I had an Aunt Margaret.
Oh, I know.
Oh, jeez.
You can call me Uncle Steve. But they under the tree, there's they're all excited for Super Mario Brothers, and then they see this long box, and it's just the Mario Brothers adaptation video game where it's just basically just a ripoff of Chutes and Ladders, but you're Mario and you're trying to get over some Goombas or something.
Steve, you can't say Goombas.
Oh, sorry. Mushroom Americans.
Thank you. Board games now are more fun than they were back then.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to it, a lot of the newer games. You got cards, you got got it all. I know it's it takes 2 hours to learn the game, but they're a lot more fun than just your typical Monopoly, which no one likes Monopoly.
Monopoly sucks. It's also a long game, but there's just no fun in it. But you're right. I think that the more elaborate board games that we can get nowadays, there's a whole world around them. It's like playing a video game without a screen, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Sadie asks Marge about the who, the why, and the how of the row, and Marge suggests that it's complicated. Homer, however, finds the situation to be pretty simple. He hates jerks, while Patty and Selma hate cool guys like him. And Selma admits that she and Patty never really got along with Homer, but that things get really bad at Marge's first baby shower. They then flash back to that fateful day where a number of Springfieldians are there to celebrate Marge's soon-to-be child. So we have Kirk and Gwen, Ned and Maude Flanders, Timothy and Helen Lovejoy, and I gotta say a rather hunky sea captain who is rather solo, probably looking to hook up because he's looking good.
Well, he's kind of hanging out with the Van Houtens. I'm wondering if...
See, fishing for a threesome?
A threesome, yeah. He wants to be one of them threesome boys.
A piss pig.
He is a piss pig. That's for very few people who understand the reference. And I'm not going to explain it. Why is Chalmers there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird. So Patty and Selma recall wanting the day to be perfect for Marge, and all seemed to be going well until Homer ruined it. At least according to them. His one job was to bring the cake, and he arrived at the shower with a chocolate sheet cake. And Patty and Selma requested a carrot cake, but Homer claimed that chocolate is his and Marge's favorite flavor. So as Selma begins to hyperventilate, her sister presents a backup carrot cake, knowing Homer, the impregnator, would screw up. So both Patty and Homer try to push their respective cakes to the center of the table, but instead it mashes them together.
Marge goes to see what all the trouble is about, and Homer wants to inform her sisters about her love of chocolate and how carrot cake is merely a garden salad with frosting. And you're so wrong, Homer. Carrot cake is delightful. Marge tries to keep the peace, begging them not to fight. She takes a bite from both of the chunks of cake, saying that she enjoys both of them. Homer, Patty, and Selma start a cake fight, and Marge realizes that there's only one solution. From that moment on, she has to keep her sisters and her husband apart from each other forever.
When are we going to have a cake fight?
Ooh, that sounds like fun.
All right. Well, Steve, I have 74 CDs of cake, and we just have to throw them at each other like Frisbees.
Cool. You're going to hit me with your short skirt and long jacket. And it's going to go the distance.
That's all you know, right?
Yep, that's it.
Well, back in the present day, Sadie asks Marge what her favorite flavor truly is, and holding back tears, Marge admits that it's neither. She likes vanilla cake. As she puts it, the less flavor, the better.
Simpsons don't know cake. Vanilla's a flavor, Marge.
Patty shouts out that vanilla is the opposite of chocolate, while Homer retorts that carrot is the opposite of cake. I know we like carrot cake, but that's a funny joke. Sadie is sick of the bickering and is ready to point out who is really at fault.
Marge ruined her life when she met you.
Shut up! I've heard enough of your bip-to-bip-to-bip. You three disgust me. May you walk under a falling air conditioner. That said, the problem is you.
Me? How can I be the problem? I'm the Marge of this.
Oh, please. If you actually wanted peace, you'd stop interfering. Let these three lunatics work out their mishigas among themselves.
Why on earth would I want them to fight?
So you could be the martyr. You keep them separated so they won't stop fighting. God forbid they should ever bury the hatchet and who knows, become friends? Because then Saint Marge doesn't get to run the show.
Hey! Lamp! That's the craziest thing I ever heard. I'm the nicest. I love everyone. Out, 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 get out. I unsign all the waivers. Shh, shoo, shoo, shoo.
I love Marge saying that I'm the Marge of the situation. Just such good self-awareness.
Yeah, what do you think, Steve? Is Sadie right? Is Marge the real problem here?
I mean, it kind of feels like victim blaming, but maybe she is.
So should we just kill off Marge?
Yeah, that seems to be the easiest solution. And then Homer can take his turns with Patty and Selma.
I mean, I know that we want Homer dead, of course, and so Marge can be with the Springfield Elementary gym teacher, played by Chris Rock.
That's right. They can come together, as joked about.
Well, outside of the Simpsons household, Wayne the Grip enjoys a can of Blue Bronco energy drink when Krusty walks up to him and talks about the importance of camaraderie in show business. Startled, Wayne begs Krusty not to fire him since he needs the job to support his stepson's illegal street racing habit. So Krusty assures his fruit vaping friend that they are all part of the crew family and that the below-the-line riff-raff should be equal to the so-called talent. If it were up to Krusty, that line wouldn't even exist.
Well, impressed by Krusty's newfound down-to-earth nature, Wayne invites him to a crawfish boil with the crew. Krusty is touched to be invited to Wayne's that, and Wayne then warns Krusty about his Uncle Jimmy, who will absolutely flick you in the nuts, which Krusty is actually looking forward to.
Don't be that guy, please.
If you're over 11, the age of 11, just stop it. Stop flicking people in the nuts. Or the vaginas or the whatever. Just don't flick people in the genitals, please.
Like anybody who just goes up to a person, obviously a friend, stranger, obviously you wouldn't do this, but even if they're your pals, don't touch them anywhere. Don't poke them, because you know that'll make it giggle. It's not appropriate.
Yeah, don't. It's really rude and just not appropriate and kind of just disturbing. And especially if they laugh like the Pillsbury Doughboy, don't poke them in the stomach because it will just embarrass them. And I'm sure for a little while you'll make them feel like they might be popular, but then you realize it's just a gimmick and nobody really cares. So
yeah, like I said, it's fine if you're in middle school, but you're 43 now. Stop doing it, Craig. I mean, people. Well, that evening, Homer is clipping his fingernails, which is really disturbing because is this the first time we've ever seen fingernails?
Yeah, I think it might be, and it just looks so wrong.
Also, gross. Don't cut your fingernails in bed. What are you doing that for?
No, don't. Do it at the kitchen table like everybody else.
Do it over your baby's crib, like I do. Where do you clip your business?
Admittedly, I usually do it over the toilet.
No, that's perfectly fine. I'll do it in the sink. I'll do it in the shower, actually, is what I usually do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Take everything off in the shower, Take your pubes off. Take your nails off. Loofah that dick, Steve. Loofah it.
It's my favorite hip-hop song, Loofah That Dick.
It's a Kylie Minogue, right?
I think so.
I mean, no. Not Kylie Minogue. That's even funnier. I meant Nicki Minaj.
That wasn't the same.
Ice Spice? I know that. That's a person.
Yeah, Megan the Stallion.
Marie Osmond?
Mm-hmm. Rappin' Ronnie Reynolds.
Anyways, so yeah, it was Homer's clipping his nails. Marge wonders where that judgmental old clown aunt gets off saying that she's the reason Homer doesn't get along with Patty and Selma. They could shorten old clown aunt to I don't know, clown starts with a C, right? So aunt starts with an A. If it's an old clown aunt, just be put a C in front of the UNT instead of an A. And I think that's would describe Susie Essman's character in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Exactly. Kind of like you have your fun uncle, which is a Funko. So something kind of like that.
Yeah. And it's an endearing term to people in the UK.
Exactly.
Anyway, so Homer says that Sadie is off her rocker and Marge is pleased. Homer always knows how to agree with her. Homer agrees that he does. And they turn off the lights for the night. As Marge sleeps, Homer tries to imagine a world where he is friends with his sister-in-laws. So this leaves him awake all night as Marge tosses and turns, deep in slumber. Another great animated scene. I love the alarm clock. They're going to bed at 11:24 and just watching the time go by with him just sitting there. And the realistic of Marge tossing and turning like we all do.
Yeah, that's some way people sleep. It's really nice. And also, speaking of time counting, when they're in the escape room too, it was kind of nice because the timer was actually counting down in the scene as well. And so, yeah, the art direction in this episode, spot on.
Exactly.
That morning, Homer grabs his phone and sends a text. He then sneaks off to the Springfield Squidport, where he sits on a bench in a trench coat, wondering if he's doing the right thing.
What are you doing here, Homer? This isn't you. You're not this person.
So, Here we all are.
If I could have stayed away, I would have.
Part of me wants to run. Part of me knows I'm through running.
Do you think there's any truth to what the mean lady said? That we would be friends? If not for Marge?
I know I don't want to believe it.
We need to figure out if this is real. I know a place where we can explore these feelings discreetly. Patty and Selma, welcome to Moe's.
Weird how the sunlight stops at the doorway, like it's afraid to come in.
Yeah, a scientist tried to explain it one time and went crazy.
Homer, psst, Homer. Hey, I said pissed. Who are these two goddesses?
They're Marge's sisters,
Midge has two hotter sisters?
Patty and Selma.
Pigeon Sidge?
I like Mo saying Pidge and Sidge instead of Patty and Selma. However, there's a little bit of a blunder. Canonically, Mo is still engaged to Maya, although according to the internet, and I don't believe this, because this episode was co-showrun by Matt Selman, he does not recognize Al Jean's writing where Maya is engaged to Mo, which I think that it's The Simpsons being loose with the timeline and stuff. However, Mo did make out with Selma in season 14, Excuse Me While I Kiss the Sky, which we have yet to review, so he has seen them before, but I still think it's fun that Mo is so enamored with the twins.
Boy, I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
Yeah, and also in that clip, I do enjoy like the beginning where it's kind of like Homer, like asking. It's like double entendre, like with the exploring. Like it's almost like saying like we should explore a threesome. That's what I got from it.
Yeah.
And then this episode could go in a way different direction.
Oh yeah.
The bit too with like the sunlight stopping at Moe's and not entering, another funny thing. Yeah, I feel like you're right. Patty and Selma have definitely had to have been to Moe's. I mean, Barney dated like Selma, right? Or went on a date. They've been to Moe's many times.
For sure. But, The Simpsons, it is what it is.
Well, after Homer points out that Patty and Selma are twins, Moe admits that his dream has always been to hook up with twins, ever since he saw that old commercial for the movie, Twins. And Homer explains that Patty is a lesbian, which only excites Moe more. As Homer takes 3 beers to his table, Moe uses binoculars to keep an eye on them. I don't really want to like timestamp when we record this, even though I think we already have, but Moe looks like the suspect who killed the United Health CEO.
Wow, so you're saying that he looks like Luigi Mangione, the attractive guy, when Moe, who I've always found to be a good looker, but, people have frequently said it is ugly. And I could see him brandishing a gun and killing a guy, so yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, once he's acquitted, this Luigi guy, let's cast him in the live-action Simpsons movie as Moe, the bartender.
I like it.
Let's get, I was going to say O.J. Simpson as Homer, but I think O.J.'s dead now. How about Robert Blake? Is he still alive?
Sure, yeah.
What about Phil Spector? Is he still alive?
I have to shave his head, but yeah, we can do that.
All right, perfect.
I love Moe with the binoculars. It's just funny because he's like 10 feet away. It's just good. So Homer, Patty, and Selma sit in awkward silence until Selma blames Marge for their years of conflict. They all agree to forgive Marge and then pat themselves on the backs for being such good people. Homer suggests a toast to the 3 amigos, or amigo and amigas, but Patty suggests that he's so fat that it's actually 4 amigos. And after a moment of hesitation, Homer appreciates the zing at his expense, and they all share a laugh. And then Homer calls Patty a spinster with a toilet brush for a head, and she also takes the insult with good humor.
So using the jibs as a bonding tool, Homer, Patty, and Selma head to the bowling alley, where Patty points out that the bowling ball resembles Homer's head, and that even shows his IQ with the weight display of 8. It's a very light ball, too. I mean,
it is.
Yeah. Next, they head to the amusement park, where they ride a tilt-a-whirl, dragging on the ground due to the collective heft. And Homer says that he's being crushed by 2 sacks of wet mail. And the twins shout, "Zing!"
The trio then head to a theater where a blue ghost, reminiscent of old Onion Head himself, Slimer, from the Ghostbuster franchise, munching on several hot dogs, as he's wont to do. Selma asked Homer if he had to audition for that role or if he just got the call, and Homer appreciates the zing. Behind them, Moe is continuing to observe his new objects of affection with those binoculars. And then, after returning to the escape room and solving it in a mere 38 minutes, Homer, Patty, and Selma are shocked to be caught by Marge, who just happened to take the kids to a dentist appointment at Cavity Falls. Seeing them all free together without her, Marge realizes that the problem is her.
This is a fun bit of montage here. I like how Patty and Selma and Homer are fans of Ghostbusters, because this is obviously a re-release. So they're like, yeah, it's good to see the Ghostbusters again. I love Bart and Lisa. They definitely had Novocaine or something.
Yeah.
Their cheeks are puffy, and the speaking is very funny.
It is. Really good.
In the backyard, Homer, Patty, and Selma sit in their own kiddie pool as Homer feeds his sister-in-law Vienna sausages using one of those claw reachers. They laugh and repeat the word friends as Marge looks from Lisa's bedroom window, feeling excluded. Lisa thinks Marge should join in on the fun, but she's concerned she would ruin everything. Since she's the problem, Lisa tries to talk some sense into her mother.
Because I'm the problem.
Of course you're not.
No, I am. It's fine, though. Your father and my sisters getting along was my dream, and it happened, and now my life is perfect. Hooray for TV therapy. Hooray, hooray, hooray.
So perfect that you're up here watching them while you refold laundry that's already been folded.
Maybe I don't do things right the first time. Or any time.
Bart! Mom has candy! Candy, 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 candy!
I ruined everything.
Candy?
This is some nice emotional acting from Julie.
Yeah, I love the build-up to the cry, and then she bursts out. Also, I like Lisa quick thinking of calling Bart over with candy. And I'm not a person who wears dresses, but I do know that a lot of women's clothing lacks pockets. So good on Marge for finding that green dress with pockets.
Yeah, do you think Matt Selman is not going to recognize, or Al Jean's not going to recognize the addition to pockets in future episodes?
Yeah, probably not. I think there's a lot of beef between the two of them, and so yeah, any addition that they make is they're not gonna acknowledge it. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of beef, a lot of chicken, a lot of turkey.
It's all the meats.
Yeah.
So Krusty arrives in the suburban community of Wayne the Grip, ready for the crawfish boil. He steps out of his car, and the sweltering heat causes his makeup to melt off of his face. That's pretty disturbing. He then heads to the backyard, happy to drive 3 hours to spend time with his supposed crew family. Krusty points out Wayne's above-ground pool, which he calls a water prison for the kids. And he corrects Wayne, saying that pools go in the ground. He then meets his neighbors, who all happen to be cops. Krusty claims that he loves both law enforcement and laws, but as we know from his past, he doesn't, and, ACAB.
Yeah, the makeup bit was pretty disturbing. It's like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark when that Nazi gets his face melted.
Mm-hmm.
But took him no time to reapply the makeup, so that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
So a football falls at Krusty's feet, and one of the party guests asks for a little help, calling him K-Dog, because he bets on the sport Krusty is sure he can toss the ball, but when he attempts to toss, he knocks over the crawfish pot, and the flames cause the pool to burst, and one parent tells her kid, who is being pinched by several of those crustaceans, to simply walk it off. It's kind of funny, he causes all this damage, and no one really cares.
Yeah, everyone's just kind of fine with it. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. What a bunch of chill people.
Yeah.
So Krusty steps away in fear until a man in an ATV rides up, saying that the dunes are calling his name. Several more four-wheelers jump the sandy hills, not quite making the landing. Wayne offers Krusty one of the recreational vehicles, saying that it's his stepson's stepson, and he built it out of boat parts, so there's no brakes or safety features to slow him down. Krusty wonders if there's a helmet, but as Wayne points out, he's statistically safer without one, and Krusty should do his own research.
So, Wayne's that guy, huh?
Yeah, it's funny because so far they've tried to make him as kind of like a down-to-earth, just salt-of-the-earth person, but yeah, he's also one of those guys.
He kind of reminds me of a mutual friend of ours.
Uh-huh.
We'll just keep it at that.
Yeah, I had the same thought, yeah.
All right. Well, Krusty tries to ride, intent on taking it slow and steady, until he speeds off and crashes. The following day on the set, Krusty is covered in casts, braces, and bandages. One crew member is happy that CPR worked, and another wonders which heaven Krusty saw when his heart stopped. So Krusty then says he wouldn't miss the invite to jet ski paintball at Concrete Lake.
We then head to the Problem Is You season finale reunion special, which has all the guests, such as the Hibberts, the Princes, Comic Book Guy and Kamiko, Dewey Largo and his husband, and Principal Skinner and Chalmers.
Welcome! On our first hit season, we solved a lot of problems. And here they are now! So, how's everybody doing?
Yes, well, when you find out that you're the problem, even though you could have sworn, and I mean with every fiber of your being, that it was the other guy, it's very, well, I don't know, freeing? I don't know.
I was so controlling of Percival, but now I just let him roam free.
Oh, Aunt Sadie, you changed all our lives. Once you helped Marge step back from decades of sabotaging us, it's been so good for her. Right, honey?
That's right. I'm gonna be honest. There was a time when I thought maybe we were doing something wrong. But we were completely blameless. Not me. I'm to blame. The problem is Marge.
Poor Marge.
I've been saying it since season 1.
The trouble is Marge. I'm sure people on the internet have said the same thing.
Yeah, do you want to hear a clip of me in 1989 saying that?
Yeah, that'd be great. Play that clip.
Oh, the trouble is, Marge.
That was me in 1989.
That's what I thought you sounded like when you were 7.
Look, this is just a reference that I don't think isn't for anybody but for maybe you. I was trying to talk like this. Like, remember the cartoon Life with Louie? And it was Louis Anderson and when he was like 8. He always talked like this. I'm like, why does he have a deeper voice when he's like 8, but then talks like this when he's an adult?
That's a good point. Yeah, that cartoon was weird. It depressed me, and I don't know why. It just seemed really bleak.
Yeah. R.I.P. Lonnie Anderson.
That's loved you in WKRP in Cincinnati. Not so much in Family Feud. So Homer goes on to say that the things that used to bother him about Patty and Selma no longer bug him. Patty mentions that Homer's breathing used to annoy her, but not anymore. Homer remarks that the cigarette ash in Selma's eyebrows also doesn't bother him, and Sadie checks in on the other guest, asking Kamiko if Comic Book Guy still skips the previously on recaps of their favorite shows, but the twins have a bit more to say.
You want to know something else that doesn't bother me? That he only cuts his fingernails on his left hand.
I'm a righty, so I can't use the clippers with my left.
Again, it doesn't bother us.
Hey, Marge, you want to step in here?
You mean separate you? Oh, no, not me. I don't do that anymore. You disgust me! Room yourself!
You first!
You don't yell at a reunion show, you sick morons! Look at these losers I cured. Cheapskate, fixed. Daddy issues, fixed. Impotent, came to terms with.
You fix nothing! You plaster over real problems with an easy catchphrase. These three have hated each other since the moment they met, and all you did was give them a reason to not feel guilty about it.
You know who does hate the fact that Homer only clips his left hand is Marge, because of fingering.
Oh, like when he's playing the piano.
Exactly, right, because the clicking can scratch the keys of the piano.
You know, Flanders can help him out because he has left-horium, Steve.
Oh yeah, that's true. He can just, that's a good point.
And flick Marge's bean.
Of course.
I'm sorry I said that on the podcast. Are you a recap skipper, like Comic Book Guy?
I used to not be, but like in this age of streaming television, more often than not, I'm watching something that I had the complete season of. So like my wife and I had watched the episode the previous night, so we don't necessarily need the recap. So yeah, I tend to reskip. How about you?
Yeah, I think I don't really go through the recap, or sometimes it's just I just don't care if like I usually put it on and then that's when I'm like settling in. But like I especially need it if it's I watched a season something, it's been like 2 years, and I need that previously on season. And sometimes shows don't give you like previously on the last season, and I'm like, I kind of need a recap, please.
That should be a requirement. And also, you only need to recap the last previous season. So if you're on like season 4 of a show, I don't need a recap from season 1 because I'm there. I just need to know what happened the last time I watched it. Because sometimes they'll do that too. And it's like, That's more information than I need. I already know what happened then.
Yeah, I'm going through my 60-minute rewatch, and every episode starts off with like, all right, episode 1, season 1, in 1953, this is what happened.
This is what Andy Rooney was mad about.
When he was only 14 years old.
The problem with segregated schools is...
I mean, I think Marge is right in this last clip. I'm sorry, I'm talking about The Simpsons now. But all these like TV shows, like self-help and that sort of thing, like, especially your like, let's say like your Dr. Phil's and your Dr. Oz's. I'm doing air quotes with doctor. I know they have doctors, but still, it's like, do they really help anyone? It's all for ratings. It's all for advertisement.
I mean, maybe they'll do good once they're in political office, not a political podcast.
Right.
But yeah, it is like this pop psychology, like trying to solve things in a TV show time manner. It doesn't work. Yeah,
the only pop psychology I believe in is Coca-Cola versus Pepsi.
What about Dr. Pepper?
Oh yeah, he's the actual soda pop psychologist. That's a better joke, Steve.
Unlike that unqualified Mr. Pibb. He's extra.
All right, well, Sadie claims that she invented guilt, but Marge feels that it's her time to yell and point and point. It takes years of work to solve relationships, and it can't be done in 30 minutes. Marge adds that it takes deep self-reflection from all partners involved. But the other guests aren't sure about that. Luann is upset that she has to work on her marriage, especially now that we know that Kirk can't get boners.
Wah, wah.
And Dewey Largo is leaving his husband and taking the pugs. Oh, I hope that's not true.
I know.
And all the people that Sadie supposedly fixed begin to argue.
So Marge then faces the camera and says, "I'm Marge Simpson, and the problem is not me." Krusty feels that he isn't the problem either, and that she should have never tried to make a human connection to his employees. Marge tries to tell him that he's missing the point, but he wonders why he should spend time with anyone below the line.
The line is there for a reason. The line is an absolute good. The line is life.
I always knew that guy was a phony.
Hey, let's go rub our butts on his sushi.
Don't you leave me! I've got an hour to fill with you mental cases.
Well, as the guests storm off the set, Dedrick Tatum's white tiger flicks his tail, which unlatches a rope, which causes the problem is you sign to crash down on Sadie. And then we cut to her tombstone, which reads, "The problem was a giant sign." See, I guess we can't get future Sadie episodes because she's dead.
Ah, damn.
Wayne the Grip offers his condolences, leaving Krusty to ask who gave Wayne permission to talk to him. And Jimmy runs up and flicks Krusty in the nuts. And that's our episode, Steve. We get to see the Jimmy flicking nuts. Do you like how sometimes an episode ends with the death of a character?
Yeah, it's just nice and clean. Like, we know the episode is over because somebody died.
And us dumb podcasters don't have to like bring up in the future, like, when's Sadie gonna come back? Why can't we get Sadie back? Ugh. Stupid, annoying podcasters.
Awful. Like, maybe Sadie can hook up with the Unky Herb.
Right. Or maybe Sadie is a lesbian and wants to be with Patty.
Yeah, but we don't have to worry about that now.
Or Sadie meets a guy played by Jeff Garlin, you know? There's too many possibilities.
Yeah.
I also think it's funny I never brought it up, but when they were doing the talking about the TV show recap podcast, let's not forget Susie Hessman also does a recap podcast, show rewatch about Curb with Jeff Garlin.
That is funny. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's...
Which I've never listened to, but I've heard people say that Jeff's annoying on the show.
I find that to be believable. I used to listen to a lot more comedy interview podcasts, and yeah, he would go on there and not the most, he's a little annoying, I'll say that.
Who'd be more annoying to live with? Jeff or Conan O'Brien? Because weren't they college roommates? Or wasn't he, or not college roommates, they were roommates, I think.
Yeah, I think they were, and I mean, I'm guessing Jeff is probably more annoying, although Conan probably has a lot of presidential books all over the place, and he's probably making jokes, and he's doing that weird, like, string thing where he does the dance.
I know that his staff on the shows have always complained because he just walks around with, like, a guitar, playing guitar all the time. That's annoying. Like, I love Conan O'Brien, one of my favorite comedians, but don't be that guy that walks around playing guitar everywhere. Well, Steve, I know we usually don't have ads, but we do have an ad, so let's play the ad and then come back and wrap up this episode, okay?
Sounds great.
All right, we'll be right back after this message.
If you're like me and you love shellfish and you're not in a hurry, did you know that 94% of clams are perfectly safe to eat after 3 business days? So the next time it's Wednesday and you feel like having clams on the following Monday, visit 3dayclams.com. Order a dozen little necks and get a shocker for free. Though with 3-day-old clams, they practically open themselves. One taste and you'll say, wow, these clams are fresh enough. Consult your physician before ordering 3-day clams. See terms and restrictions at 3dayclams.com. Delivery and or food poisoning concerns, call 1555-CLAM-HELP. 3-day clams is not an endorsement of eating 3-day-old clams.
All right, we're back. Let's wrap up this week's episode, Homer and Her Sisters. We'll talk about some of the scenes and characters that we thought were funny. We'll give it a review, find out what we're watching next week. But before that, Steve, it's that time. It's the holiday season, but we do this year-round. It doesn't have to be the holidays to give a gift to the person that we talk to. So, with that being in mind, in the spirit of this episode, I got you a gift.
Oh.
From this episode. Yeah, how about
Very nice.
that? And the gift is going to be something I baked for you because, at this time we do bake a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I baked you a cake.
Oh.
But I couldn't decide if it should be chocolate or carrots or Marge's favorite vanilla. So I decided to bake you all 3 at once. It's a chocolate vanilla carrot cake topped with our sponsor, 3-Day Clams.
Delicious.
And I would like to know if it tastes good, so please eat the cake in front of me.
You can really taste the 3-day part of the 3-day clam. Like, it really comes through. It's a little pungent. I feel like if Homer to eat this, carrots would not be the biggest issue, so that's something.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Steve.
Yes.
That's all you get this week.
That's very nice, Craig. Well, I got you some gifts as well. First of all, I got you a board game cleaning kit, because you said you enjoy board games, especially the more modern ones. So, I got to you the board game cleaning wax polish, and then the dice cleaning polish, and then the card cleaning polish. And I also got you a mention at the next In Memoriam's free Oscars, even though you're not dead, and hopefully you will be by then. And also, I got you my Uncle Jimmy to flick you in the nuts.
Steve, I happen to know you don't have an Uncle Jimmy.
It's true.
So who's Jimmy?
I don't know, but he offered to flick you in the nuts. I didn't even have to pay him.
I guess I accept your gift with much humility.
Okay, that's very kind of you.
All right, Steve, what made you laugh in this episode?
I think the 2 standouts for me are Mo with his Midge Pidge and his just absolute adornment of Patty and Selma and the binoculars. And then Marge, I really like her line about lying about cleaning the gutters and falling off the roof, even though she actually did clean the gutters and fall off the roof. And feeling guilt about being the one in the wrong. I thought that was funny. And also, I like the zings from Patty, Selma, and Homer, in the movie theater and in the bowling alley and even at the amusement park. I thought those were a lot of fun. But I think Marge is going to be my most valuable jokester for the week. I think that she had a lot of funny lines. How about you?
Yeah, let's give it up for Marge. This was a very Marge-centric episode. And I think Julie Kavner did a great job because she's doing 3 characters in this, of course.
That's true.
You know how a lot of people have been complaining about Julie's voice sounding older because she's in her 70s?
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like this episode, it was back to her younger self voice. And I have nothing wrong with her voice, aging because she's aging and that's perfectly normal. There's a lot of old Marge zest in it. And I agree. I think she's the MVJ. And the gutter and the roof bit was my favorite. Also, shout out to Susie Essman with a very large role and did wonderful. I know we know her mostly for Curb Your Enthusiasm, but she really wasn't like Susie in this,
Yes.
She was playing a different character, which I appreciate. And, Ike Barinholtz, I think was a lot of fun as Wayne as well. Homer and Selma and Patty, just a lot of fun interactions between them. And I also like, I don't think they're shouting us out, but the podcast, Talking Krusty. I mean, they're using our microphones.
That's true. I did notice that.
Yeah.
I sure did.
What do you give this episode all together?
We've been kind of longing for a more down-to-earth Simpsons-involved episode. And while this did have, big guest stars and did involve, like, Krusty and the nature of celebrity, I do think that this is kind of a grounded episode with the classic battle between Patty and Selma and Homer. And I think that this kind of covered it really well with a fun backstory that didn't feel forced. We talk a lot about the fans complaining about the canon timeline of The Simpsons. But in that flashback, you'll see that Milhouse was not yet born, but Luann was more pregnant. And canonically, he is 3 months older than Bart. So I thought that was a nice touch. This episode had a lot of laughs. I think that the intertwining of the A and B plots was really nice. And then the C plot of Krusty was acceptable as well. I think this is a good one. Maybe not the highlight of the season thus far, but I think that it is a solid episode. Yeah, I like the fact that what we do is kind of being referenced in the recap podcast world, and that the fact that podcasts are so commonplace that this is probably like the third, maybe fourth episode that they've had a podcast in the show. So that's kind of fun. And I thought this one did really well. So to date, the podcast that you mentioned, The History of Curb Your Enthusiasm, featuring Jeff Garlin and Susie Espin, has 43 episodes. So out of those 43, I'm going to give this a 34. What are your thoughts, Craig?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you again. We have been wanting a classic Simpsons tale of the family, and I think we got it. And I think the intertwined stories of Sadie and The Simpsons works really well. And this is a very fun Marge episode. And Patty and Selma. I think Patty and Selma are getting a lot of screen time this season.
It's true.
And it's delightful. Yeah. I think you said it all, Steve. I agree that it might not be my favorite from the season, but I really enjoy it. It's like the most grounded, I think, episode this season we've had.
Mm-hmm.
Because last week's was in the air, Steve.
That's very true.
Not grounded at all. So, yeah, if I had to give this a ranking, Sadie, of course. Every time I hear the name Sadie, I think of Sexy Sadie, the Beatles song, right? From the White Album. Well, the length of that song, Steve, is 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So if I had to give this an episode, I'd give it a 22 minutes and 1 second.
That's fair.
All right. Well, Steve, we have a conundrum, I think.
Yes.
And it's something that Steve pointed out right before we hit record on this podcast, which we're recording on the 16th of December in the year of 2024. I didn't know about this. I don't think even we talked about it.
No, I learned about it literally an hour before I started taking notes.
So as of this recording, like we said, on December 17th, 2024, there's going to be a Disney Plus special. It's called O Come All Ye Faithful. And it's a two-parter. It's it's going to be like 45 minutes, 2 episodes. Then on this Sunday, there's also a new episode. So that's like triple duty, Steve.
Yikes. As a father, you must fear triple duty.
Actually, I prefer lots of duty because it means she's being healthy and
yes,
digesting really well. I'm nervous when I don't have a poo diaper. Anyways, that's not the point of what I'm getting at. Is how do we do this, Steve? How do we do O Come All Ye Faithful and The Man Who Flew Too Much? So, theoretically, The Man Who Flew Too Much, spoilers, is what the episode will be next week.
Mm-hmm.
And would come out normally on Thursday the 26th.
That's true.
So I think what we're going to have to do, Steve, we have a mission. Now, I know we can't guarantee it, but I think what's going to happen is we're going to have to do a podcast with this Christmas episode, and we're going to have to release our review of O Come All Ye Faithful before Christmas.
Okay.
Can it be done?
We shall find out. I think we can do it.
See, I don't know. This is tough for us.
Yeah, because the problem is it would make sense for us to do O Come All Ye Faithful first because it's timely, but it's also a 2-part episode, and I don't want to lose the Fox flow that we have going with, the newer episodes that are on Sundays.
Okay, fans. Look, it's going to be up in the air, much like that movie with Anna Kendrick. Pitch Perfect.
Of course.
Our decision will be Pitch Perfect. So, look, usually we have in the description what we're watching next week. but even we don't know.
Exciting. So keep an eye on our socials.
Right.
And we'll let you know. And those socials are on Instagram or Threads or YouTube at 138Simpsons. And hey, you can always email us at 138simpsons@gmail.com.
Right. And hey, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or the other podcasts you listen to. It's like a 5-star review. But you don't need to write a real review. You can just tell us your escape room stories.
That's right. And hey, you can go to tpublic.com/user/annoyedgrunboy and get yourself a nice t-shirt or a hat or a sticker. Maybe you wanted something for Christmas and you didn't get it. Well, now's the time to order it for yourself.
But you might be able to order it in time for the 8 days of Hanukkah.
Very possible.
It could be your 8th day gift. All right. Well, thanks again for listening, and we hope to produce a podcast next week. We don't know what it will be about. It'll probably be... Let's just re-release our 100th episode, Steve. It's a Christmas episode.
That sounds good.
All right. Well, for this week, I've been Annoyed Gruntboy Craig.
And I've been Annoyed Gruntboy Steve.
Now remember, the problem is you.
May you walk under a falling air conditioner.
Don't you leave me! I've got an hour to fill with you mental cases.